Hi folks, welcome to my channel or welcome back. My name is Kat. I'm a licensed registered dietitian nutritionist and online nutrition coach. I like to focus in on weight neutral approaches to health as well as dive into scammy and unethical nutrition related business practices, supplements, and other fear mongering nutrition related claims. Now, if you are a regular subscriber here on this channel, then you very likely, probably, maybe consider yourself part of the anti-MLM or multi-level marketing community or movement like myself. So this video is going to be a little different, and I wanted to make sure that I mention that up front. I am interviewing a former top BOO distributor. Now, if you are unfamiliar with BOO or Black Oxygen Organics, I will leave some videos talking about, explaining what that is in the description box. But I wanted to make a note of that because in this interview, we don't agree on everything. And that includes our support of Shilajit supplementation, the nutrient density of our food these days, as well as just the overall involvement in MLM structure. And I will have information on those linked down below, but I wanted to be sure to mention that, to bring that up, and let you know that we have gotten a lot of information from Dave, including the recent corporate compliance call that I recently did a reaction to. My friend Savannah also did an amazing reaction to that call, and as well as other verifiable information about BOO that we have gotten from him. So while we do have those other differences, he has been very helpful to the anti-MLM community and movement overall regarding BOO. So please just keep the comments positive, focused around BOO. And lastly, this is an opinion video, so I encourage you to do your own information gathering before coming up with your own conclusions. So if all of that sounds good, let's go. All right. Thank you so much, Dave, for coming on. I know your group, BOO Seekers of the Truth, has been really helpful for getting a lot of people talking about BOO and talking about some of the concerns. And so I just wanted to kind of start by thanking you for that, and then also ask if you want to go ahead and introduce yourself to the audience.
Hi, I'm Dave Bykowski. I'm 63 years old. By profession, I'm a critical care nurse. I worked for 25 years. But my passion is holistic health. I had a wellness center for 12 years. And I've been involved in direct sales, let's say for 45 years, okay? I lost my leg in an accident. I've got a below the knee amputation back in 2008. And that caused me to go on disability. So I went from a pretty substantial income because I had my wellness center. I worked full time as an RN, and I did my direct sales. Then I dropped down to it significantly. So it humbled me, which is good. Not that I was a bad guy, but it also made me really budget my money. And there was things that I didn't even think about that I could do before I lost my leg. But I started to be where at the end of the month, I had to decide, are you going to spend your last $10 for gas or for food? And, not what I really thought that my life would be like at my age. So I thought of going back to nursing. That wasn't going to work. Everything was different. It was online. They just thought after 10 years that maybe I got dumb. I don't know. But I used to walk in and walk out with a job. I never applied for a job I never got. But I would go in and talk to the nurse recruiter, and I'd leave with a job. So I decided to go the direct sales route. And so I went and I found this, at the time was called New Water. And I've had a love for fulvic humic acid for 25 years. And so I was very aware of it, and I used it with my clients in my wellness center a lot. So this was a different type because what I got from was called Shilajit. And Shilajit is the most well-known fulvic humic acid, and it comes from a rock formation from the Himalayan mountains. And the story goes that monkeys used to go in the springtime to the mountain, and they would take from the peat that would come out from the crevices at the bottom of the mountain, and they eat it. And the locals said, well, if it's good for the monkeys, maybe it's good for us. So they started taking it. It's been around for 1,000 years, and it continues to be consumed, and it's got benefits. But this was different because this was coming from a organic source of vegetation state. So That comes from a rock shale. This was coming from a bog that had plants and insects and all types of things that would, would decay, of course, after every winter, because it comes from Canada, and it would go down and decompose. And eventually you got what was called fulvic humic acid, but it was more from a vegetative state, which made it more bioavailable. And bioavailable means more readily absorbed into the body. So that was significant and something I hadn't heard of before. So it was like I was like a duck to water, and I got involved with it, and I fastly grew as the top earner or the top person, distributors per se, in the company.
For BOO in particular.
Yeah.
Right. How did you hear about it for the first time?
I hear about everything out there. I've been doing this for 45 years. Gotcha. I hear people tell me, hey, Dave, I got this. You want to look at this? And it's a typical way that our industry works. I've been doing it for a long time. I've been very successful. So I hear about these things. And so that's, I just, because of my love for fulvic, it was just something that I was fascinated with. Mm-hmm. So and the product seemed, was good, and it worked. And go ahead.
Oh, I know you were talking before about really the main reason. So that bioavailability, which we've talked about that here on this channel, talking about just supplements overall, but the mineral content specifically in there. If you think about where our vegetables, where our produce grows, it needs to get minerals, vitamins, nutrients from the ground to be consumed. And so it makes sense in that way. And I know before we were talking previously, you're mentioning on how if people are feeling better, there's also the option of getting those minerals, like getting just more minerals in, right? Like more.
The thing about you get with fulvic humic acid, you get, of course, fulvic and you get humic, and that's a combination. They come together, and most companies have like a 60-40 formula that comes out of the earth, and that's what Mark was saying, that he had the most potent, most bioavailable, the best in the world. Mm-hmm. And minerals is part of that. Yeah. And the other part of fulvic humic acid is it's a detoxifier, a chelator, where it comes into the body and it also takes in, like let's just say, takes in the nutrients and the minerals and takes out the garbage, if you want to say. So it takes in the groceries, takes out the garbage, goes into your cells at the cellular level with minerals that you need, that you're short of. 95% of us are mineral deficient severely. So
do you know where that comes from, or like where that number is from?
95, it's just that general number that's thrown out there. If you go and do some research, they just throw out that number, 95%, maybe some say 85, but we're all severely, because there's just no minerals in the ground. Because after all the years of farming, every time you farm a crop, the minerals, they take up the minerals into the crop, and then after years and years, no minerals are left. And we used to, if you want to get technical into everything, there used to be a lot of flooding. And that's how it would be restored, through floods. Minerals would go and refurbish. But then when they started controlling and stopping the cause of floods with dams and different things, we didn't get the flooding that we get. So we're really all mineral deficient. And really, this has been going on since the 1930s.
And so, there is a change definitely in our soil, but I just wanted to say that we can still get a lot of minerals, a lot of nutrients from our fruits and vegetables. It's not like they don't have anything in there. But yeah, I'll actually leave a graphic about kind of what the research has shown about the changes, like 30-year, I think it was a 30-year study on looking at specific nutrients and how it changed. But that could also be related to some other things.
If the ground is being, if it's being fed, some fulvic, which is common, you're going to get it. But general consensus is that we're depleted. So yeah, is there some that happen where there is minerals? There is, but the reason that people get such a, and we'll talk about this as we go, about why, if the product, and I think the product is tainted, also the product is not what Mark says it is, then I think that what we have to look at is why. The biggest question is, and the biggest defense and the biggest reason people are like, no, this is helping me, is they feel better.
Right.
Now, the reason they feel better is because they're so mineral deficient. And when they get these minerals, then they feel better because
yeah, that's what I was asking earlier about, like, if they are feeling that kind of.
I was gonna get that was gonna be my punchline. No.
Oh, sorry.
So anyhow,
Sorry, Dave.
that's okay. So here's the thing. That makes for a bad situation. Okay. So let's go back to the fact that I was doing this and the company doing really well. I've been involved a lot. I take from nursing, I'm very ethical. It's very important to me about my integrity. And I take that into anything I do, whether it's a business, because I've owned businesses outside the direct sales and such. I just was all of a sudden one day just terminated for no reason. I mean, you usually know if you have a problem with your boss or with somebody. They're not my bosses. I'm an independent distributor. I was, and I was responsible for 75% of the money coming into the company. So I don't want to go into that too much, but they wouldn't tell me why. It would be like if you got fired and they said you get fired for stealing. And they, well, what did I steal? And they said, well, never mind. Well, you'd like to know, you'd like to see some proof. They never gave me any proof. And I found out what it was later by going to my website and seeing that it was occupied by somebody else. I didn't recognize the name, but I called the contact number, and lo and behold, it was Carlo Garibaldi, who is one of the owners of the company. So it was very obvious that they stole my position so that they collect that money. And so that's where it was. So I did a video talking about, hey, to other people in the industry, stay away from them. This is not a good company. You just don't do that to your top, your top earner. You just don't. But companies do that because they're greedy. And I'm here to say I've been in the industry for 45 years, and and I know that this is a situation where I've kind of bonded with or got together and with some people that are not really friendly or don't really think that multi-level marketing is a good way of doing business.
Yes,
but we put that aside.
Movement.
We put that aside. And I'm here to say, yeah, it is. I'm one of the good guys. I know there's a lot of problems. And when I'm all done with this, there's some things I'd like to help to change. But that's just the way it is. And we deserve to have people and groups that are going to be, what they're calling, what Boo's calling, haters, which is not true. Right. But we deserve that, because if there's scrutiny, you have to. If you don't have weights and balances, then it's no good. So we'll leave it at that. Yeah. So anyhow, I did the video just saying stay away, but I said the product was good. This had nothing to do with the product. Shortly after that, I got kind of wind of some things that were going on. And what happened was there was a gal, I won't mention her name, but she was approached about the product, and she was one of these analytical people, maybe an anti-vaxxer rather. And she was like, hey, I want to know what's going on in my body. And they said, I want a certificate of analyzation. And a certificate of analyzation is a test that tells what is in the product. And they gave it to her, but it was from 2017, and it had a lot of discrepancies on it. She said, 2017, that's 4 years ago. Usually companies do this every batch, or at least every 3 months or so, or every 4 months. Every 4 years is crazy. It's just crazy. So she knew that, but she couldn't get them to give her anything. So she went out and started watching videos and seeing Mark, as we all know from previous videos that you've done and other people. He was saying Moose Creek, Moose Creek, Moose Creek. That's where he gets it from. For 9 years, he's been saying that. Well, she decided to do a Google Earth. And lo and behold, what did this young lady, I think she's in her 20s, find? But the bog itself was on the same property as a waste management facility and landfill.
So that was how it started. Okay.
That's how it started. But
one time where I'm like, I'm so grateful for that person being that anti-vaxxer.
I heard about it.
Usually I'm like, but yeah.
And I heard about it, and there was a lot of crazy stuff. I'm not going to tell you that they're saying that was in it and all that. I said, wait, this isn't going to work. If we're going to do this right, we're going to have to. So I formed a group. And originally it was BOO, the Moose Creek Mystery, and more. I changed it later to what we have now, BOO, the Seekers of the Truth. But to disseminate the good from the bad, because if we were going to be effective, we couldn't have crazy stuff being said, right? We had to look at it You can't just throw mud at the wall.
No,
Or
I think
dirt
that's
at
what
the
the CEO and everybody thinks that we're doing
right.
based on that compliance call.
Right. And
Yeah.
you understand, I'm a registered nurse. And I was telling people they could give this to their kids. And, there's times that I nearly start crying thinking about that. So a lot of people that you'll hear, and a lot of people are saying that it's all about money. It's all about money. He's just trying mad because no, it has nothing, honestly. It has nothing to do with that. Do I want to shut them down? And I told them when they took my position, I will, if you don't reinstate me at the time, I will shut you down. And their lawyer contacted me. I don't have to go into that, and tried to get me to stop. And I said, no, I'm not going to stop because I tell the truth.
And that was before you knew about the BOG location and other, yeah.
So I'll be honest, if they are, my goal is to shut them down. Now they're temporarily shut down. I hope they're completely. And if they get shut down by the efforts of myself and people like yourself and other people in your organizations, I'm going to be happy. There's no doubt. But I wouldn't take $300,000. I'll tell you, I was offered money. They had one of their distributors, you guys will know, contacted me and tried to say, hey, why don't we sweeten the pot and maybe you can take down everything.
Oh, no, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I wouldn't take it. He made an offer. I wish he would have done it in a message so he could have had it, but he was smart enough to do it over the phone. But I wouldn't take any kind of money, really. I wouldn't do it because then everything I do means nothing. It doesn't. And I want to see them shut down because this is atrocious, and it's bad. And I don't want to be associated. I'd rather be associated with being a guy that shut down a network marketer who shut down a network marketing company than to be a nurse that let something go. My nursing is more important to me. My integrity is more important.
When did you first hear about the medical claims that people were starting to make about BOO?
Okay, I'm going to tell you, I've been a compliance person for many companies, so I'm very strict on compliance. If I ever heard anything, I would stop it, and so I never really heard anything. There was never any of this parasites coming from feet and baths, which is ridiculous. And any of the things that I'm hearing were not happening. Where there people were having what I would consider, even when I was doing fulvic acid, when I was doing it from my wellness center, there is detoxing. And that would be, we'd have a few people say, I have a slight headache. We'd tell them to hydrate, and that would take it away, maybe a slight rash. And that I never, ever did these claims come across. I just would never allowed it. And, it's funny because the compliance came out, and I just call him, I'm not going to say what I call him, but anyhow, he comes out and yells at everybody, well, look at.
Oh, on the compliance call?
Yeah, let me just say, look at dummy, and I was waiting for you to say it, so I'll say it. You let it go by. You knew what was going on. As long as that money was coming in, you didn't give a you-know-what.
Yes.
And they didn't care. They turned their eyes to it. It's their responsibility. It's not the brand partners. They will do what they can. It's a company that the master distributors, that should have been on top of things. I will tell you, I would never have allowed it. I would have put a stop to it. I was a leader. I would have said, this is not going to happen. But it did. They had massive growth. They had people in there that were all money-based. I'm a product guy. That's what I pride myself in. If the money comes, it's great, but I'm just about the product. So yeah, I never heard that thing. And I started to hear them, and I talked to some of these leaders, even though I was terminated and they didn't like me. They pretty much hate me. But to tell them, look you're not doing yourself right, and you're not doing the industry right. You need to stop this. But they wouldn't listen,
And I think it's wild how so much of his concern in that call was that the haters were getting wind of all of the stuff that the distributors were doing, and that the haters are the ones who are reporting them and things like that, when that shouldn't be an issue if your distributors were doing what they're supposed to do from the get-go, like having that compliance, not having those compliance issues from the start. It's not the haters' fault or anything.
Exactly. How dare him come out and act like he did. I have zero respect for the guy. He's just a figurehead. And, that's a problem. when you have a company and you just don't have people that know what they're doing. Mark and Carlo, they know nothing about what they're doing, and they just do it. And for a while there, they would take myself and some other people in the company. I won't mention their names because I don't know the master distributors. I'll say them, myself and another gentleman on the other side of the business, and we'd have meetings with Mark and with Carlo, and we would use our experience and tell them the things they needed to do. When Ron came on, he told them, "No, you got to stop talking to those guys." And that's when I think things started getting a little shady and things started to go backwards. But the main thing is that we have to say is that we can't allow this company to keep going. It doesn't matter if they fix their compliance or not. We still have the question of why is it? Why is it that they don't have a certificate of analyzation? And it's people are going on 11 weeks now and they don't have it.
Yeah, well, it's been a while. They finally got it. Supposedly, what was it, like 3 weeks ago or something? And still nothing.
They don't have it. That's conjecture. That's these brand partners trying to keep the peace. They don't have it. Even Mark said, we don't have it because we've been too busy. He's too busy to take and make a phone call to a shipping person and say, hey, send out a bag to this lab and tell them these are the tests we want. Yeah. No, they're too busy because they're making new formulas.
They don't do the testing. That's a third party. That's the point of it being a third party. They don't have to do it. What did you think about the part where they said that there's potential to scale to that just scale in general at the end of the compliance call? He was talking about how somebody sent him a message. I think they were in Australia or something. But my concern with that is if it's from a natural source, like you can't make more of that if they are in support of what they say, that it is perfect and that it's just like everything they need, then they're going to run out of that. They can't reproduce that unless they go to other bogs, which if that's the case, then why didn't, it's nothing special about Moose Creek.
That's really insignificant. And I'll tell you why. First off, if you noticed, if somebody was really that bold to say what they said, they'd attach their name to it. Anybody can put up something and say some guy or some doctor. Well, if you really want to be impactful, put the guy should have his name on here.
The former doctor at the very end. Why is he former?
I never heard. I thought once a doctor, always a doctor, but okay.
Right. That's why I was like, Mark, is that you?
Let's talk about this for a second. See, there have been COAs done, not complete in depth, but enough that tells you the content and percentages of the fulvic humic acid. Mark says he's got the most potent in the world. Okay.
Right. He says.
Well, it turns out that he says 36%, like 60-40, 60 humic, 40 fulvic. Well, four different individuals, entities, did 4 different tests, and every one of them came up with, you know how much fulvic? 5%. 5%, not 40%, 5%, and 58% humic. Do you know what we call that? It's called fertilizer.
Oh no. And I mean, that makes sense. I mean, even I know Savannah Marie had talked about, she made the point that he went on like this journey. I think it was Savannah Marie who he went on this journey to find like the best place that had the most amount. And then, but it was only like a certain point because the whole world has so many bogs. And so he really didn't check, like 60 is just this very small percentage of all the places that he could have checked and tested.
Mark is the best at one thing. He's a snake oil salesman. The fact that people don't, allegedly, if you have 100 people,
we have to say allegedly.
You have to randomly 100 people. What is fulvic humic acid? You might have 5 people know what that is. Okay, so that makes a perfect thing for him. Just like this, back in the Wild Wild West, when a guy came up with a wagon and he had cough syrup that he's gonna say was gonna kill, basically, and it was gonna cure everybody. You know, the magic potion. Mark has been lying. First off, forget it. He didn't go to 63 bogs. No way. We have to understand there's environmental protection in the United States and in Canada that protect wetlands. You just can't go and start doing stuff. You can own property in the United States, like where I'm from in Wisconsin. And if you have a pond in the middle of your 100 acres, and you say, well, I want to make an artificial, I want to dredge that out and make a lake. No, you can't just do that, even if you own the land, because you got to protect those little lizards and those little frogs and stuff. And I'm not making light of that. I'm just saying that that's what's going on.
And that's good. I want them protected for sure. Absolutely.
It's just baloney. Okay. So let's just, again, he doesn't have, and of course, as soon as that was discovered, it was by a waste management. Oh, no, I don't get it from Moose Creek. No. We don't get it from there. And then he said, Alfred. Okay. But he says it's Castleman. Well, Alfred Bog is not in Castleman. It's in Caledonia Springs. So that just goes away. So for 4 months, after 9 years of Moose Creek, and now it's discovered and it's been there for 50 years, a waste management facility. Oh no, it's not there for 4 months. Not there. And then what? Has it been 2 weeks now that he came out with this video? Oh, by the way, we do get it from Moose Creek.
Right. Yes, because he was talking about the landfill and how it was lined with that clay and everything, and that it was organic toxic material or something of that nature. I can't remember the exact wording, but like, why would he be concerned about what that landfill is lined with if it's not right next to that bog? Like, and his concern, he said that the lie that we are saying is that it's filled with like radioactive waste. And I have not heard anyone concerned about radioactivity. It's just waste in general.
Let's talk about that, because that's something we need to talk about. How did that come about? I'll tell you. Somebody early on posted in my group a study done by some kind of publication. And it talked about the Ottawa River was found to have nuclear waste in it.
So someone's in your group reporting back.
That was a long time ago. I'm just telling you.
Oh, okay.
They came out with this article.
Yeah.
And what the article was about was that they found nuclear waste in the Ottawa River. And yes, that's a long ways away. But in that article, they talked about how they were concerned that because of the fingers and how this river goes and all the different fingers of water that goes out, that would affect the bogs, that perhaps that would get to the bogs. And that's I guess that's where that came from, because nobody has ever talked anything about that.
Right.
So evidently, somehow
now people know about this article, because we were just like, where did that radioactive waste concern come from? We were just talking about normal kind of waste. Exactly. But now that we have that information, they're concerned. They're putting it on themselves.
That was kind of like a hypothetical. If it's there, is it going into the bogs? Because everything leads to these bogs eventually. So that's it. I would say that I know the answer to that. So there you go.
That makes sense. But nobody's really talking about that.
Yeah, the bottom line is you can go to Walmart and get a gallon of liquid fulvic humic acid, 5%, 58%. And if there's no other chemicals in there, you can drink that and get the same results. And that's the minerals. See, this is the danger. So you're getting the minerals and you're feeling great because of the minerals. You're giving the body something it lacks. And the body's a wonderful, magnificent thing that starts to help itself when it has what it needs. So, but what if there's toxic industrial toxins in there too? Maybe you're not feeling them yet, but maybe 6 months, a year, 2 years from now, all of a sudden you're going to have organ failure and die. That's why it's so scary. You can get something good and then also be getting something bad. The story arsenic and lace. We all know the poisoning, slowly poisoning. Or nowadays, arsenic laces, you hear about people giving antifreeze and killing their spouses and stuff. You see it on TV all the time.
Oh no.
So no, but I'm just saying a little bit here, a little bit there, a little bit there. And then
the liver can only handle so much.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's really the scary part. That's the part that really scares me, because you're dealing with people that are uneducated, and not saying dumb, just uneducated or ignorant to this.
You can't know everything.
And their mind is, well, how can I feel so good and how can it be bad? And therein lies the problem. really.
Yeah. Some of that potentially, maybe a little bit of placebo mixture. Yeah. Oh, that's so scary. I wonder when the certificate of analysis will come back, and like what's the holdup for that? Why?
I'm going to tell you what I think. There's two ways to think.
So this is allegedly for everybody.
Yes, this is important. But everything I've said so far, this is probably the most important. It may not be that there is anything in there. I doubt, I know there's some information we'll come out with later that we got from the actual somebody that is with the management, the waste management, that I don't want to say right now. But here's the thing. Let's just forget and say there's nothing in there. Why would Mark, if it's clean, why would he not put it out? Well, we found out that it's 5%. What do you think would happen if it got out and Mark had to admit that he did not have the most potent and the best in the world? He had far from it. That there's all kinds of fulvicumic acids in the United States, probably in Canada, that are way more superior because they have that 40%. So if all of a sudden it's 5%, all the walls start falling down, because that's the crux of his story. He's got the best. And if it isn't the best, then everything else falls apart for him. That could be the reason. I think, unfortunately, that it's twofold. It is not the best, and the fact that it's got 5%. Let's think about this. If he searched everywhere, isn't it funny that he found it right in his own backyard? And when he did his interview, there's an interview that he did 9 years ago with a reporter, and they're on a side of a bog. And she goes, "Well, this isn't the bog that you get your product from." He goes, "No, that's down the road here. We have a lease on a bog, Moose Creek." Well, let's think about that. If you're going to do an interview for a TV, why wouldn't you do the interview by the actual bog? Oh, maybe the reporter would see the waste management company in the landfill. See, I think this sounds crazy, but I think that he couldn't find a place. I don't think he went to 63. And I think he saw, well, they're bound to give it to me. So why wouldn't a waste management, they're using it for a landfill, why wouldn't they let him pay money to go down there and get stuff? Sure, go ahead, get all you want. And then at the same time, if I've researched, I can't find anybody that will tell me the exact location of where they get their fulvicumic. I've called over 40 companies in the United States, and none of them will. And they won't, because their source is given away. It's like giving away a recipe for like a baker giving away a recipe for their cake. They don't want to give it away. They're not going to. So the fact that Mark openly says where he gets it tells me this sounds sick. But he figures, well, if people come there, surely they're not going to try to get it because there's a waste management. But he'll do it. But who else would be crazy enough?
It's just so concerning. There's so many questions up in the air. And again, we're just trying to piece together what is going on. We're working together. I know you said that you've been working with these people who have different viewpoints, including myself. So different viewpoints, but we seem to be on the same page when it comes from BOO. So people with a common concern. Where do you think we need to go advocacy wise to hold BOO accountable? Like, do you think we're on the right track of what we're doing with reporting to the appropriate authorities?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Like I said, you know what? And maybe there'll be people in the industry that when they see this, they'll say, maybe that'll affect me in the future. I don't think so, because I've got such a good reputation. However, thank God for people that look out. If we don't have weights and balances, then we can't get better. Mm-hmm. And we have an industry have to get better. And I think that in the part of the problem, and I was talking to today, we need to treat it as a business. Too many people don't treat it like a business. I do, and I do it. I don't make claims. I don't do any of that. I love the industry and I love what I do. I am thankful, and I'm more thankful after getting to know you people. I'll call you people.
The anti-MLM community.
Yeah, I've become more, and I think it's been a two-way street. I think that I've kind of touched your hearts a little bit about that there are some good people, and we're all not that way. But I'm going to say, thank God. And I want people out there looking at us. I want us to be held to accountability. I want people that are going to say, hey, this isn't right. I do. And that is a contradiction in a way, but it's the truth. And maybe that's my nursing. I just feel like you have to have that to be able to have something that's worth and sustainable.
Lots of issues. Do you think there's anything else that we can really focus on with bringing BOO, making like having just accountability in there and just educating people about it? Because I know just speaking with other people in the anti-MLM community, a lot of them have the idea of we just need more education on the consumer part because that's where we really make the biggest difference, so that less people kind of get involved. Is that what you think?
Yeah, it doesn't matter right now whether this is a direct sales company or it's not. The bottom line is the product is no good. I mean, let's talk about this. Another thing that's very important to know when we go away from this interview is, where's the transparency? Right. When you don't have transparency, that means you got something to hide. And you should not be having a lack of transparency. And they have a big time lack of transparency. And that bothers me. And there's a lot of crazy things involved in this that I'll tell you what, to me, this makes Erin Brockovich's story kind of like a nursery rhyme. I'm serious. This is so crazy. And what is going on with this? It just is. And for you that know this and that are older, it's kind of like Erin Brockovich meets Soylent Green. And Soylent Green.
Oh, Soylent Green, yes.
Yeah. And Soylent Green came out in 1973. And I'm not going to say because there's so many crazy things out there. But you can look up Soylent Green and you'll see what I'm talking about. But it's people. We have to look out for the welfare of people. Realistically, we got to say, this has been around really three years, and for the last 2 years, quite a few people taking this. And if we find out there's been some damaging toxins, people may already have damage that's going to affect them the rest of their life. Now, there are tests being done by people, and hopefully those tests come in, and then they are. And like I said, I've got some information that we'll be releasing and about a statement from the actual waste management company itself about what they say about what's being excavated and such. But that'll come later. And, I just want to say, I just appreciate you and the others that are doing these videos. You do them with class. You do them, you may be anti-MLM, but I don't see it as, I don't see the hate. I see the facts, and I think that's wonderful.
Appreciate that.
And I want people to know, like I said, people want to think that this is because I got terminated. It has nothing to do with that. What I'm doing now, it all has to do with my desire to find out what's there and what was I promoting. Because certainly if it comes out, people are going to say, David, are you kidding me? You're a nurse. Why didn't you know better? I'll say, you know what? I should have known better. But I didn't see it, but by God, I put an end to it. That's how I feel. I wouldn't take any amount of money to shut up. I've been offered money. So I just want people to understand where I'm coming from. It's all about my integrity, about what I want to be left on this earth, about thinking about what kind of person was Dave. He was a good nurse. I don't want it to be, he peddled the stuff that killed people. Heaven forbid. Or to damage people or took advantage of people, whatever it is. There's people out there that are just so emotionally and psychologically beyond physically tied to this product. It just is amazing.
Well, with that, I think that's a perfect way to kind of wrap up. I was just going to say that for anybody who is taking BOO, it doesn't have an updated certificate of analysis. So just...
I would like to say one more thing if I can.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
As soon as I got terminated, I had a lot of followers that left, and they left because they were loyal to me. But they said, "What are we going to do for fulvic humic acid?" And I want to clear the air because there's a lot of things out there that people think. So I went, and this is before I found out anything about what's going on. I went out and I searched and found a product that I thought would be the best product in the United States. Freshwater, sourced and asked a lot of questions, and then got about 30 people on it, including myself, and they all loved it. In fact, they liked it better and got better results than they did with the BOO. So that's what I did. But then I decided, hey, I would like to private label it. And again, this was before.
And that wasn't an MLM or anything. It was just
no.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to, and I saw that I love this. And why should this affect me for my love of it? And so I private labeled it. Now I came up with a name that I would kind of stick it to them. They are Black Oxygen Organics. My product is Black Oxygen Water. And I have the right to that. And I don't think you're too happy about it, but too bad. And it's a clean product. So I have that. So people also are thinking, well, he's just doing all this stuff so that he can market his product. I'm going to tell you, I could have made $10,000 last month, because I get people asking me all the time from my group, is there a good humic fulvic acid? And I tell them, yes, but I send them to someone else.
And that's a big thing. And that's something that we do, like in the ANTIMLM community, it's having duplicates, having dupes. I mean, that's a common thing of a lot of people who leave, they want something that maybe they enjoyed, but then, having some issues with the business side of the business structure of things.
And am I gonna probably, I lost a lot of money. Okay. Am I gonna probably benefit by BOO going down? Because people, even though I'm the bad guy, I'm the werewolf, I'm the Sasquatch, whatever you want to call me, they're going to want a product and they'll probably come to me and they'll probably buy my product. So I'll be right up front and say, yes, I'll probably benefit. But I want to clear the air. I'm not doing this for that. And I do not sell it to people out of my group that want to know about it. Do I get contacted from people? Hey, because I do advertise it in my Facebook. That's different. And I will sell it. But I want to clear the air that has nothing to do with this.
Transparency.
I want to be transparent. Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
So thanks. I just thought it was important to put that in there.
Absolutely. And if anybody wants to get in contact with you, do you want to just send them over to BOO Seekers of the Truth?
Yeah, please come on in there. We ask questions. We want people to go in there. It's not a debate group. You have to already have concerns. And if you come in there and start defending or saying, well, I heard this, it's not a debate group, and you'll be asked to leave, and it's in the questions. It's a place to get information. If you're sitting on the fence, you decide which side you're going to go to. But if you're looking for a place to try to defend why you take it, it's not the place. It's a place for answers, to get information, and it's a place for people to bond with other people. That, there's even talk right now of people that have been damaged for a class action suit. That's a fact. That's a fact that just came up. That's not my, I would never start that. I've been asked to. I don't want to be involved in that. I'm already involved in this. There's other people that are bringing that up, and they need to, because if there is a problem and it comes up, they need to be able to have somebody has to answer for any problems that's caused that. So I'm very, very strict about my group. I know there's people that come in there that are spying, and I let them in because even spies have to know the truth. But as soon as they start to disrupt the group, then I kick them out. So, but come to the group, BOO-Seekers of the Truth, and you'll be treated right. Just come in there with the right attitude. And if you got the questions, and if you can answer them truthfully, we'll let you in.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you so much for your time today, Dave.
Thank you.
All right. So if you have stayed this long, thank you so much. Please be sure to leave a like, leave a comment, make sure you're subscribed if you want to. And that's it. So remember, you can strive for health without subscribing to diet culture. All right. I'll see you later. Bye.